This is a show that none of us ever wanted to make. Unfortunately, Alan Smith has passed away. He passed away peacefully with Kate and Andy and Sue by his side. Um, so this show is going to be a tribute to him. It's going to be a tribute to all the contributions he's made to REDALLOVER. Alan was with REDALLOVER from the beginning, back when it began on Den FM. So there'll be some of his best clips in here, and also towards the end, I'll mention a lot about what his legacy would be. Um, and it was you always wonder what it would look like, and I think this show gives a little bit of an insight as to what that's like and how much he meant to the Barnsley FC community, and how loved he was across the community. So there's gonna be a lot of tributes from people, just explaining what Al meant to him and how much of a cornerstone he was of the community. And it's a big void that it will never be filled on this show, moving forward, and is someone that you can never replace in the community. He was probably the biggest Barnsley fan I've ever known in my life and probably will ever know. So committed to the club and just celebrated everything about it that was possible. So Al, we miss you and we love you loads.
But I had a word with Kitchen yesterday, and he's not going nowhere. While we've been at Shadow Scholars, so he's not going nowhere. You heard it here first.
Put this on Twitter, Josh. It'll James will go on Friday. It'll be Kiefer Moore all over again. Get him tell Josh.
I can't wait till Liam Kitchen's gone this by 8 o'clock tonight.
It's going nowhere.
Don't say things like that, Josh, because people may not realise it's a joke.
No, we'll be gone 8 o'clock tonight. Announcement, Coventry.
Alan's cancer journey has been a difficult one to be on with him. He had so much hope and positivity at the start. There was always a treatment or a strategy that could be put into place to assist him having a longer life. Bit by bit, those treatments ebbed away. He went from hospital to hospital. At times when I thought he was just trying to go around every hospital in the country. He spent time at Barnsley General Hospital twice, Northern General at least once, and then at Western Park Cancer Hospital, where despite attempts to want to involve him in immunotherapy and chemotherapy, he simply wasn't strong enough. They tried to make him strong enough, but to no avail, and we got the horrible news that there was nothing more they could do. And so just under a week before he died, Alan was transferred to Rotherham Hospice. He was full of praise for the staff, nurses, doctors, at all the hospitals and at the hospice. One of the things that kept him buoyed up throughout it all was the incredible amount of support and love that came towards him all over social media and in person. He was particularly grateful and loving towards a number of people. If I forget anybody, please forgive me. The wonderful Phil and Julie Hall, who are volunteers at Barnsley Hospital and long-time friends of Alan and myself. It's so much transporting of Kate to be able to spend time all day with Alan. Andrew Clark, who visited Alan but also provided his taxi service free to Kate, also to enable her to spend time with him. He was also so chuffed that on his last game at Oakwell, Conor Hourahan came and presented him with a shirt, which was a wonderful touch by the club. Also, whilst in hospital, there was a 3rd-minute applause for him, in which the whole ground partook in. It was a beautiful moment for him, and one that those of us who are still here will never forget. The fans have been amazing and so supportive of him. Whilst at the hospice, we were visited by Joan Catherine Beardsall, and truthfully, it perked him up, and it was probably the one day where we got the old Al back. He played hell up with Joe for not knowing who Genesis was, or Pink Floyd, or Black Sabbath, and any of the bands of our youth, and Joe, as usual, looked perplexed. He was also visited by Callum Simpson, and that made a big difference to Alan. Callum took time out of an incredibly busy schedule to come and see him and wish him all the best. And again, there is something that will never be forgotten. I can't thank Callum and anybody else who went, such as friends Jed Taylor, Neil Hudson, and other people. It's just beautiful to witness. I met up with Alan again once at Dearne Valley College after he'd stopped working at the pits. He went to work at Dearne Valley College, and I went for one day a week to do what was a management course. Amongst all these young people, I heard this voice shout out at the top, "Simcox!" And it was Smithy. Up he came, gave me a hug, and I said, "It's Mr. Simcox to you, Smithy." And you know, as many of you probably already know, on different shows and in person, he referred to me as Mr. Simcox all the time, as well as lad. Those 4 months older, he used to call, there's not many people call me lad anymore. Alan was one of them. Finally, Alan had had some happiness in his life, but also his fair share of sadness, trials and tribulations. But I can say without any contradiction that finally, not soon enough, but finally, he met the love of his life. He met Kate. So many times in our older lives together and whilst in the hospitals, Alan repeated that she had brought out the best in him, and he had done things and been places that he never ever thought that he would. And for that, he was eternally grateful that she was his wife. And I know she of him. And now be reunited with his mum and dad, the lovely Stan and Renee. It was with a heavy heart. I bid him farewell. Alan told me a story numerous times. I think he'd forgotten he'd told me so many times that he knew and took the rap for the original Toby Tyke, the real life dog that was Toby Tyke. He was in a car with his dad and Toby Tyke, and as they were driving along, all of a sudden there was what can only be described as a smell that had emanated from somebody's backside. As it happens, it was from Toby Tyke, but the other adults in the car all blamed Alan. So even when he was younger, Al was a fall guy for Toby Tyke. I hope you're proud of yourself, Toby. I don't know. He always thought that he and I were the Muppets. He was the Waldorf to my Statler, the Chuckle Brothers, the old gits. He particularly referred to me, and for which I am eternally grateful, that I was, and I'll quote, his brother from a different mother. I know how much he loved me, and he knew how much I loved him back. I spent years with the he ain't heavy is my brother. Well, stuff that. I told him it'd always been a burden to me. All my life, Smithy had been a burden to me. And now, I so want him to be that burden.
I first met Al when he was doing the Heritage Project for Barnsley FC, and I happened to get interviewed by him. It was just a chance meeting, him and Kate actually, and we just hit it off, helped by the fact that my maiden name was Smith and my football nickname was Stan Smith, and Al's dad were called Stan Smith. So you know, you just think it was meant to be. After that, I kept in touch with Al, and eventually he spoke to Joe and I got invited on Red All Over as a guest, and then as time passed I ended up more of a regular, etc, and we know where it is. Over that time I formed a really close relationship with Al, and well, how can you not? He's such a likeable, nice guy, who just welcomes you, makes you feel happy, makes you feel loved, appreciated, and it just puts a smile on your face. And that's probably, whatever happens, when somebody says to me Alan Smith, I'll smile, because he always made me smile. Some of the things he said and did on Red All Over used to make me laugh a lot, like, Al, you're on mute. What an interesting fact that is, Al. Not. Are you going to the away end? Are you going to the away games, Al? Yeah, you are. Okay, we'll look forward to watching every single photo by the second. But as many of you will say, I wish we could have it back Saturday and every Saturday forever. The last few weeks has been really tough, and I've messaged Al quite a lot, and he's messaged back, and it always ended with, I love you both lots. And again, that says a lot about him, because I think we love him lots. Everyone loves him because he's such a nice guy. So for Kate, you know, it's going to be awful ahead of you, Kate, but I think rest assured that we do all love you, and we loved Al, and we'll always love Al, because he were ace. And I think that's the best thing I can say. Barnsley FC will never be the same without you, and Red All Over will definitely never be the same without you. So we love you, Al. You were Red All Over, and remember, once red, always a red. You red.
The one thing I'll take from the time I've had with Al is, aside from our sort of instant connection with Barnsley, and he's one of those people that you feel like you've known for years, just after speaking to him for 5 minutes. It's the interest that he takes in you as a person. I don't think I've come across someone that is sort of that invested and wants you to do well as much as what Al did. There's one example that it sticks in my mind from a few years ago now. Was I interviewed for a job somewhere, and Al was someone that if I needed any advice on what to do, or just wanted an update of how it was progressing, I was that person who was almost your biggest fan. Whenever I put anything on with High Rocks and things like that, I'll always be the first person to congratulate me, message me about it, things like that. It's just having someone in your corner so staunchly as well, sort of celebrating everything in which you do. You can't really replace it when you lose someone like that. Um, and it's reasons like that why I will be such a big miss personally for me. And as I said at the beginning, this is going to be a huge void in this show now. Like I said, I don't think we'll ever replace it. I don't think the Barnsley community will ever really replace it as such. But Hal, we love you. We'll miss you so much.
I've been putting this off for a little bit of time now because actually saying goodbye makes it feel real. I knew Al through Red All Over, and although Andy described him properly as a miserable old bugger, every time I saw him, he always had a big beaming smile on his face. It just seems odd that I'll not walk into Ponten and see that smile, and or bump into him at an away game and get an inevitable selfie that he always insisted on. And say Andy always called him miserable. He would never. He were always happy to be the butt of the joke, my silly jokes anyway. One of which he insists must continue, which is Little Alan Andy. But the one I think I'll probably miss the most is Al Bingo. I'm gonna miss the pictures of his breakfast and pints and players warming up before a game. It's the little things you'll miss, and I'll miss it all.
Alan absolutely loved Barnsley Football Club and Oakwell. And as well as watching the Reds home and away for many years, he also undertook a number of tasks at Oakwell itself. At different times, he'd been a programme seller, a turnstile operator, even worked as a volunteer in the shop just by the West Stand. In fact, it was a hut built into the West Stand. None of this superstore stuff. It was a little hut, but Alan was there and selling stuff. I think the thing he enjoyed more than anything was as being part of the Reds in the community. He undertook with our friend Phil Hall and others the Heritage Project, talking to and interviewing many of his favourite players, such as Ronnie Glavin, Mick McCarthy, Neil Redfern, and many others. He was absolutely in his element. As we got older, so about 11 years ago, I was used to see him in the car park. I was walking back to the car and he'd be there with his window down, shouting at me, banging on about this and about that, what I used to call the Smithy rant, because he were either very happy about something or very unhappy about something, a bit like me, unhappy about referees and what have you, and he'd rant and rave. And one fateful day, he grabbed hold of me and told me that I needed to come with him to Doncaster to record the Red All Over radio show. I put up resistance for a few weeks, but he wore me down, and frankly, just to shut him up, because he didn't have to bang on a bit, I agreed to go over with him, and we went to Red All Over as well, to Derne FM studio, and met up with the host of the show, Joseph Luke Beardsall, and that's how it all started. So I can only say that it's Smithy's fault that for these 10 or 11 years you've had to put up with me, it's all down to him. We'd meet up before recording, have a drink and reminisce about everything, and then go into the studio. Not always get it right first time. Sometimes we'd have to redo bits because there were certain segments of different length, and we'd rabbit on, and poor Joe, a bit like Josh now, struggling to keep any sense of order amidst all the chaos. But that's Smithy for you, obviously, not me. I was on point, but that's what Alan were like, a truly beautiful human being. Yeah. It's good to see you, Al, finally. Behave, Alan.
This show has been chaotic.
It's all fun. It's all out.
Yeah, I'll keep going then.
What is it?
All right, cheers, Al.
The dog's
Oh,
barking
it's
at the
gonna
door because
change. It'll be
Amazon's
probably a
delivered.
Christmas branches order. I don't order stuff off Amazon. It's Kate. She never said a parcel were coming. Sorry about that. And Brownie, if you decide what Brownie says, the Vinny is barking up the right tree.
As jokes go, Al, that's pretty rough.
Oh,
dear.
no.
Oh dear.
This is a tough one, guys. Obviously, we're doing a tribute show for Alan today, which is, I think we can all agree, has been difficult, to say the least. It's been difficult for all of us here at REDALLOVER and as Barnsley fans. I've not quite took it in that he's not here yet. It's a big loss for me and my family and the show. But if I'd got anything to say to Alan, it would be thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for me over the many years that I've known you, but none more so over the last 2 years. Thank you for being not only like a friend, but like a dad in a way. Thank you for being there at every phone call, every message, just at the other end of the phone whenever I needed you. When I took a break from REDALLOVER, it was the first face that I saw when I came back. That big charismatic smile, that big presence that Alan has always been, which I'm going to miss. I don't really know what else to process the fact that he's not here anymore. And I don't think any of us can understand the magnitude of the loss that we've all got. So I don't know how Kate must be feeling if we're all this bad. So all I've got to say to Alan is thank you.
So I just want to say all my thoughts go out to Kate and all the family and everyone that were really close to him, because I know how hard it is for everyone, and including me and my mum as well as everyone. So it's not something that was down right with you, but if there's all I could say to all of them, it'd be a thank you for for being a dad to me and being there when nobody really else was, and always making me smile, and it's always being happy to see him. And I remember when him and Kate showed up to me prom, some years ago, but yeah, I'll always remember him. No matter what happens, I'll always remember him. And yeah, I just want to say that I love you all.
Hello everybody, my name's Taylor from Barnsley on Tour, and I'm here to say a few kind words about the unfortunate passing of Al Smith, an absolute legend, an absolute icon, and the front face of Barnsley in many aspects, whether it's in the stands, on the screens, or around the town. Obviously, I am a fellow content creator, and I had quite a lot to do with REDALLOVER back in the day. So when there was Joe, Josh, Alan, and Andy, I had some great conversations with them all, and Ali was a passionate guy. He was incredible overall, and he's a big face, he's a big figure, and he's a massive part of Barnsley that's been lost, and it's very unfortunate. But we have to cherish what we've seen, what we've had, and what we've enjoyed, and not what we've lost. We've got to be happy that it's happened, and I can say I had a pleasure of meeting with him, filming with him on the few odd occasions, and just being in the same ground as him week in, week out, and sharing that energy and enthusiasm. So rest in peace, Alan. You're a legend, and you always will be.
Alan, I didn't want to make this video, and I still don't want to, and I imagine many other people are in the same boat. So difficult to speak about someone you loved so much in the past tense, but it's really important that we shed a light on, you know, just how amazing you were. It's important that the people know how big of a loss this is for Barnsley as a town, as a club, and, you know, obviously the wider community. The outpour of messages on the social media just shows how popular of a person you are. And, you know, the memories we've all made with you, such fantastic, such warm, such lovely memories. It often takes times like this to, you know, take a step back and really appreciate and realise what you've got. You know, we're all one big family, and when you lose a member of that family, it is difficult, it is really difficult, but it's important to remember the good times, many of them as well. From a personal point of view, I met Alan must have been 4 or 5 years ago. I was a fan of Red All Over in the radio days, hearing him on the radio, and then when it transitioned onto YouTube as well. Massive fan, loved it, loved hearing your wisdom. He was just such a loyal, such a passionate fan. You know, you spoke your mind, you said the truth, and when you thought something were out of order or not quite right, you know, you said it. And you want the best for this town, you want the best for the club. You're such a proud Yorkshireman, a proud Barnsley fan. It's just really hard to, like I said, speak about you in a present tense, but you're a brilliant man, a really brilliant man. So many funny memories, so many, too many to count. A lot of funny things about you. You used to try and sneak Al into every single sentence, every single word, if you could. You know, you used to update your profile picture on Twitter multiple times a day sometimes, which always generated a laugh. But, you know, the laughs we had with you, they're all in the nicest way possible. Every single one of them. No jest, no negativity from anyone. It was all positive. Because you're just so loved. Such a brilliant figure. You know, even in the last days, I work on the turnstiles. I'm sat outside Oakwell now. I work on the turnstiles at Oakwell. And obviously Alan, towards the end of last season, we're obviously in and out of hospital, but, you know, he'd come to the games, and it was still so positive. This turnstile just behind me used to obviously sit in the Ponty end. You know, he'd come through this turnstile and he'd have a smile on his face, and even in the hard times, even in the tough times, even when the future was looking grey and bleak, he was still positive, he was still upbeat, and, you know, there were never any why me, or, you know, why is it me going for this? There were never any of that. He just took it in his stride, he took it as a challenge, you know, something so negative. He was so open and honest about it, documenting his journey. We all obviously sent well wishes, we did the minute's applause for him, which I know he really appreciated. And yeah, he'd give me a hug on the turnstiles, he'd grab my hand, he'd, you know, just show love, he'd tell me he loved me. And even that's me, that's someone who's not even that close with him. That's someone who, in a way, started off as a fan of Alan and has got to know him to a small extent. And I am absolutely devastated with this loss. I dread to think how, you know, Kate, his wife, how she's feeling. It's really important that as a collective, as a family, we support Kate. Such a wonderful woman who's obviously gone through a lot. I can feel myself tearing up now. Yeah, just all his family and friends, you know, Andy and Sue, who obviously were there at the time of his passing. Just devastating, and my heart really does go out to those people. It's difficult to lose someone so important, and so positive, so upbeat, so charming, so wonderful. But you'll always be with us. You will always be with us. It's impossible to go to a Barnsley game and not see Alan, you know. He's one of those people who you see and you can't speak to him and not have a smile on your face. You have this great big smile, this beaming smile on your face whenever you speak to him. Just such a fantastic bloke who will be missed. But he'll never be gone. He'll always be here, and I'm sure his name will be bellowed through the stands fairly regularly. I'm sure, you know, his name will be mentioned on Red All Over every episode, and I'm sure that Alan's spirit will live on forever. I love you, Alan.
Well, in times like this, what can you really say? Alan were a fantastic human being, such a great man. I'm honoured to have called him a friend over the years. I'll forever treasure the memories that we've made together. Started back in July 2022. We went to Plymouth away on East Dene, me and two friends, Jack and Ryan, and Alan took to us all straight away, and we'd have a chat about the old days. Like, he'd tell us about the Premier League days or stuff like that. He would often talk to us about the club. You know, it's a passion we shared. Do you know what I mean? We loved Barnsley Football Club, and when I went to work on a Saturday afternoon, I'd see him and I'd have a bit of a chat, whether I go in the fan zone or whether I go in Pontyend. I'd see Alan and Kate, and I'd have a chat with them both. It wouldn't really be a long chat. It'd be about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. But it's not a game day at Oakwell if you're not having a chat with Alan. The bloke's Mr. Barnsley FC. Always was. Always will be. Even now. And when somebody asked me to mention a Barnsley fan, when someone asked me to name a Barnsley fan, Alan was the first man that always popped into my head. And yeah, we travelled down on East Dene a few times. We constantly spoke about football, about life, and he's the last man that deserved what happened to him. You know, he was amazing, but unfortunately, there isn't anything we can do about it now. But what we can do is forever honour his memory, and especially do what we can for Alan's wife, Kate. So, Alan, I love you, mate. Rest in peace.
Hi, I'm Tony from Sweden. First time I heard Al's voice was in a radio show who later would turn into the YouTube show Red All Over. About 5 years ago I started to talk to Alan through WhatsApp. I write about Barnsley FC on a Swedish fan site, and he was always so helpful and kind when I got questions. Under the picture to several of my articles you can read photo by Alan Smith. He was always so kind to send me pictures from away games he went to. Not just for the articles, I got many of Al eating breakfast and Al with a beer too. Pictures that still put a smile on my face. With that said, I'd like to send my deepest condolences to Kate, the family and friends. Rest in peace, Alan.
There ain't no words, Alan. Rest in peace, brother.
Hey Al, I can't believe we're having to record these messages for you. It still don't seem real that you're gone. All these years following Red All Over and getting to know you on a friendship level will always be a privilege and honour for me. You were an amazing, wonderful, kind man. You'd go out your way to help anybody. You were funny. You always knew when to bring humour and when to say what people needed to hear. You were loved by so many, and you always will be. You'll never be forgot. When you think of it all over, particularly, you and Andy are like mainstays. You know, your rocks, foundations and for you to now not be here and to come to terms with the fact that we'll never see your face on the show again. It's hard to take, and it's tough. I know you put up a great fight. I know you never stopped. I'm glad you had your family and your friends around you. I'm glad you were at peace. You'll always be remembered now. Never forgotten. You Reds.
On a personal level, I met Alan on a Red All Over fan cam video after a game in the player season. I came across, it's the first time I'd done anything like that. I felt quite nervous about it, and he just made me feel so welcome, made me feel comfortable at ease. His passion came across like really clearly. It was like, wow, this guy, you know, he bleeds Barnsley. He really does bleed Barnsley. I did my fan cam, it came across well. I stayed behind listening to his, and like I say, it was the player season, so it was a defeat. I can't remember the specific game. And he was ranting and he wasn't happy. But by the end of the video, he was happy again, positive, and wanting to go to the away game the week after and talking about that. And that's the epitome of Alan. He just, even though when things were bad, he tried to put a positive spin on things. Even during this time with his cancer journey, he tried to put a positive spin on best he could. I fully respect that. Great guy. The last time I saw Alan in person was the Bolton game. We won 4-1. And he came across me in the car park and I said, does that put a smile on your face, Alan? And he went, yeah, really good. I'm just off back to hospital. He'd come out that day from hospital, checked out, gone to the game, and then gone straight back for treatment again straight after the final whistle. And I think that just epitomises the type of fan and the type of person he was. He just wanted to be there. Just a massive fan. If you could make a Mount Rushmore of Barnsley fans, he would be top of that list. He really would be top of that list. And he's going to be sorely missed. And I feel sorry for his wife and his family, because obviously that's going to leave a massive hole in their lives. And of course, the Red All Over guys. You know, we all watch your videos. You know, the down to earth resonates with so much of us. It's just going to be, he's going to be sorely missed. So that's my message. Rest in peace, Al. You're a top man. Sensation, Al, man.
Just want to say, hope Al's not going to be the same place without you, Al. Or away days. We also have a laugh and a joke, both home and away. Such sad news. Love and prayers go to Kate and family. For me, you was the Norman Remington of Barnsley supporters. You was Mr. Barnsley. Sleep tight, mate, until we meet again. God bless.
I met Alan when I was doing a couple of recordings for the Red All Over show outside Barnsley Football Club after the games. And I loved listening to what he had to say. He was very forthright in his opinion. He always got it right. He said it straight from the heart how it was. And it's because his passion for Barnsley Football Club was just immense. And then I had the privilege of going to games with him with the East Dene Club and sitting with him on the coach. And the memories I have of him was going up and down some of the streets of some of the places we stopped off at, of laughing, singing. It was just absolutely fantastic. And one of the nicest memories I had was of us sitting on a bench by the river at Huntingdon, and he just listening to what I was telling him, very personal things, and there was no judgment. There was nothing but care and love, and that's how he was. He was a very caring, loving man to everybody. He loved the away fans. He loved the banter. He loved the players. He made friends with everybody. And I don't think there's anybody that doesn't like or know him or love him. Who couldn't love Alan? He was just a larger-than-life character, this stalwart of Barnsley Football Club. He really was. a gentleman and a gentleman. And although he loved Barnsley as he did, the one person he loved more was Kate. And she's just there in the background, letting him do his thing. And his love for her just really shone through. And he was so happy with her. The years that they've spent together have been the happiest that he's ever had. And she has to be commended for that as well. All I can say is thank you, Alan, for being my friend, for being there for me when I needed you. Now it's time for us, because you need us. And all I gotta say is eternal rest.
Alan Smith, we are truly devastated about his passing. He was a wonderful friend and a beloved Red, just like all of us. We will dearly miss him. Love you so much. We will look after Kate because she's amazing too. You Reds!
Hi there, everybody. Yeah, absolutely devastated to hear of Alan Smith's passing, and I think it'll just be a quick message from me, because I'm sure there's plenty of people who could who have known Alan for a lot longer, who could maybe speak to him as a person more deeply than I can. But it was a pleasure to know Alan in the short time that I was lucky enough to do so. And I think the big thing that stood out to me with him really was his loyalty to his football club, Barnsley, that he'd obviously followed home and away for all his life, and also loyalty to his friends, knowing Andy Simcox from, I think it was primary school age, and I think knowing the difficulty that it can have to sustain friendships for long periods, because the challenges that they naturally have, I think that shows incredible loyalty, and that's the big thing that stood out. And I think with Al, maybe takes a bit of time to for him to kind of warm up to you, but I think once you do, once you have earned his trust, he's fiercely loyal as anything, and he'll take you as one of his own. And I think that in that sense, he represents the people of Barnsley and Barnsley Football Club in an incredible way. And I absolutely loved the rapport that he had with Andy Simcox on the show, that you can see that they'd sort of built up all their lives, really. So so much love for Alan Smith, and I'm sending so much love for his family and loved ones and everyone associated with Barnsley Football Club. Thank you, Alan Smith. Thank you for the contributions that you made to my life, and I'm glad to have known you. And I'm really sorry that we're losing you.
This has got to be one of the worst videos I've had to do. I don't want to do it on such a sad occasion, but I'm honoured that all the people at Red All Over have actually sent me an invite for me to be able to do a video for the sad news. Alan Smith, as you all may know now, Alan sadly passed away on 1st of July. There's not much I can really say that already hasn't been said, if I'm being honest. Such a nice bloke, a top man. Not a bad word to say about anybody. Loved Barnsley through and through, like many of us. Went home and away. He lived and breathed Barnsley football. And it is a sad occasion when you look back on such a short space of time that Alan unfortunately passed away. Memory I've got, well, a couple of seasons ago, right now. There were a Barnsley Football Club invited a lot of media people, content creators to Oakwell. It was, the media team and content creators versus a Barnsley staff kind of mix on pitch. And I think that was one of the first times I really, I've known about Alan on Derne FM, but it's one of the first times I've actually met him face to face. And we got a picture, both my son and Alan, in dugout at Oakwell. And Alan jokingly said, and I always remember this, jokingly said, because we're looking for a new gaffer at the time before Michael Duff got announced. It was, looks like me and you might be, you know, first team and assistant coaches. We could do a better job. And from then, I always had respect for Alan. He was well loved by many hundreds, if not thousands, of Barnsley fans. I think also football community as well. With the amount of games that Alan travelled away as well. I think he met a lot of people, a lot of well-known footballing people as well. So I think, you know, I've seen ex-players and former managers pay their own respects and tributes on socials, which were a nice touch. That's how much Alan was, you know, loved, and he still is. Like I said, there's not much else I can say what already been said. You know, the plaudits they'll keep on coming, and rightly so. I just think Alan will be up there, and you know, such as Tommy, you know, Patrick Crine and Norman Remo Remington. I think he'll be up there looking down on us, having a good natter about all things Barnsley related, and he'll keep an eye on us all. And I think the Barnsley, as we progress, he'll also be watching from above, sending his wishes down to each and every one of us. My heart and my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody, you know, family, to Kate, family, all the team at REDALLOVER at such a difficult time. Everybody will be sending the love. Myself, everybody at Tykes TV, and like I said, many hundreds, if not thousands, of Barnsley fans, as well as the footballing community and all. Alan, you'll be sadly missed. Once a Red, always a Red.
So I met Alan inevitably through football, and in particular Barnsley Football Club. We're the same age, almost exactly, and started to follow the Reds more or less at the same time. He in, I think, 59 and me in 61. So we kind of had the opportunity to reminisce and talk about Barnsley's history over, well, 60 years plus. I don't think I've ever met anybody who was more emotionally engaged with his football club than Alan. He was devoted to them, frankly. Obsessed almost, I think. It was a very significant part of his life. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, that came through to many people through his work with the Heritage Project, and then subsequently, of course, with REDALLOVER. And he was a very popular guy with the fan base and with the opposition fan base as well. He spoke with great knowledge, and his memory of the past wobbled a bit from time to time, but he was always in the show able to bring a slightly different dimension to the other guys. But that said, I think I really respected him and his views, and fundamentally, above all else, he was just a good man. He was a good man, he was a kind man, he was a thoughtful man, and he was the kind of friend who you felt would always be there if you needed help. And you can't really say more than that about anybody. His other great obsession, of course, was his lovely wife, Kate, who has had a tremendous amount to deal with over the last couple of years. And, we feel for it collectively, particularly at this difficult time. So yeah, I'm going to miss him. There's no doubt. I suppose one of the lighter notes was if I ever went to a game where away from home particularly, or at home where the crowd was congregated in the East Stand, when I walked into the ground, I usually heard him shout "Dino" at the top of his voice, and completely startled me and what have you. And I enjoyed some really nice times with Alan, which I'll look back on with great affection. At under 18 games, under 21 games, FA Trophy, EFL Trophy games, where there weren't too many people watching. So yeah, he's going to be missed by an awful lot of people. None more so than Kate, of course, and his best friend, Andy. So yeah, always thinking about you, Alan. Always will. Very, very sad today.
First met Alan when I was 4 years old and he was 5 years old. He was 4 months older than me. I think I may have mentioned it occasionally in the Red All Over shows. We went to the same school, went to Brampton Ellis, and spent a lot of our young years and youth playing football on the playing field at just at West Melton, just off Brampton Road. We'd play till late at night, till it got dark, or until our parents called us for our tea, and then we'd go back for the second half. All our friends were there. It really was jumpers for goalposts. In the summer, we'd spend hours playing cricket. I think I've still got the bruises. A couple of years later, and Alan always shared it, to my great chagrin, always shared it. There's a photograph of he and I, about 6, maybe 7 years old, on the stage, if you like, at West Melton Congregational Chapel at the annual anniversary service, singing away. The flipping thing used to shake if you stood up. It used to shake, but he never got sick of showing it. So it gives you some idea how long we've been together. As the years went on, we used to go down to Cortonwood in the summer to watch the cricket, and also take part in playing tennis at Cortonwood's tennis courts, which was a lovely way to spend our school holidays and evenings. As we got to be young teenagers, we played in the same football team, West Melton Rangers, and got changed in my dad's garage, which again, Alan always loved telling the tale, and then trudging about 300 yards to the pitch itself, and then, sometimes in the rain, trudging back, all muddied, to get changed back in a garage. But it's how it was. It's just how it was. We both went to watch Barnsley around the similar sort of time, 4 and 5 years old. I always used to sit on my dad's shoulders on the cop itself, until I got too heavy for him. And then we transferred to the much more salubrious upper West Stand, the only place that there was seating. Great view, by the way. Alan and his dad stand, a lovely stand, used to stand in the brewery stand, which you can see in the photograph behind me. When Barnsley were playing into the Cop, he'd walk over to that side and be on that side, and then at half time, when we were playing towards the Ponty end, they'd all trudge across to the other side to watch us attack that side of the ground. It was so funny for me to watch however many fans, not that many fans, walking from one side of the ground to the other side and then back again. It's how it was. But lovely memories of him and our childhood.